bro. You guys really don't hear these war stories no more. You don't hear grandma's baby no more. You don't hear the trench baby. You don't ever see, all you ever see now is, kids playing AAU and coming up in luxury. You don't see these pain stories, bro. And that's the difference. This right here, VJ, this man right here, VJ, is going to be a great player. Why? Because he came up through the trenches. You don't have these stories anymore. The long nights. I lived off a generator for 7 years. I didn't have electricity. I lived off a generator for 7 years to see what she had to do just to feed us. I know it's not Miami Heat content, but it's good to see guys that just they weren't given everything. And that's the difference between when you're coming out the States and from the trenches. You had to make a way. You weren't just given the NIL money. And don't get me wrong, he was given NIL money, and he actually went back to his country in the Bahamas and gave his people the money, paid for scholarships, help people in the Bahamas, and that's the stuff that I like to see. People just don't get all the money and put it into chains, cars, jewelry, and women.
You saw the emotions on your mom's face. What were the moments you remember most about just the way your mom poured into you throughout your life and your career?
Man, them long nights, I'm telling you, I lived off a generator. I ain't had no electricity. I lived off a generator for 7 years. Man, seeing what she had to go through to feed us, man, it's crazy. It's crazy, but I don't even know, man.
Shout out to VJ Edgecombe. Once again, a great overall player. If the Miami Heat actually tanked last season, who knows? We probably would have landed VJ Edgecombe. Once again, man, amazing story, and this is exactly what I mean by coming out the trenches, hard work, dedication. Let's get into this Miami Heat content. The Miami Heat, they may have done it again. Watch Michigan's Vlad Goldin worked out in LA. The 7'1" Russian center has a tremendous frame, size, and length, more athleticism than you might expect, and even flashes some touch from the perimeter. He will very likely be on an NBA roster next year in some capacity, and the Miami Heat have signed him to a two-way contract. This man right here is a straight bruiser. 7'1", 240 pounds, and like I said before, he is great around the rim. Great low post game, dunking the basketball, great rebounder. He averaged 16.6 points and 7.0 rebounds and 1.1 assists. Once again, this is the type of moves that I want to see the Miami Heat make. Because think about it, for years, we've been begging for the Miami Heat to actually get size. All I'm hoping is that he just doesn't turn into like an Omar Yurtseven. But other than that, he kind of reminds me of Steven Adams. Bro, this man is a bully in the paint. And this is exactly what the Miami Heat need going forward. I am tired of being out-rebounded. I am tired of being bullied in the paint. And then also, too, think about it. This is the type of guy that's going to be battling Khalil Ware in practice. This is how Khalil Ware can get better, putting on size and muscle mass. Now, I told you guys, there's a lot of people in the media that are upset that Kasparas Jakucionis has fallen to the Miami Heat. People don't realize how huge this is. He was supposed to be a lottery pick. However, let's get into this video about how ecstatic Miami Heat fans are about getting our future point guard.
I understand the concerns because he's a guy who his skill and his basketball acumen are viewed as his best assets, and yet he didn't shoot it particularly well from the three-point line, and he had a really high turnover rate. So I understand why people are nervous, but on talent alone, let me also make this point. You just put a chip on this guy's shoulder and you sent him to the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to fuel something in him. Remember, this is the same Heat program that just turned Khalil Ware and figured out a way to get his motor running, turned him into one of the best picks of last year's draft. I think this is terrific value for Miami. Miami was linked to Walter Clayton Jr. This week, and I think that very likely would have been the pick. But if you are a Heat fan right now, you are excited.
So people keep talking about his turnovers and how he had 11 turnovers and he had, more turnovers than shots made. People don't realize, and if you don't watch college basketball, you won't know. His team was banged up. Okay, multiple injuries. He had a wrist injury. However, he played through it. They needed him to play. He was one of their best players. Unfortunately, yes, he has high turnovers. That's because of high usage. But he's not going to have that issue with the Miami Heat. The ball's not always going to be in his hands. We have Bam, we have Tyler, we have Davion. He's going to be okay. Like I said, the potential of a 6'6", 200-pound guard is going to be tremendous. The Miami Heat have already checked several boxes. Khalil Ware with the size. We finally have Bam to go to the 4. Now we have our point guard. These are the things that I want to see the Miami Heat continue to improve on. It's not about going out and going to get old guys on the roster, DeMar DeRozan, and trying to, be competitive. This is about building our young core for the future and actually seeing what these young guys can do. Even Chris Broussard said this guy could be a star for the Miami Heat.
It would be great, so I'm rooting for him.
No, it would be nice. My guy is also an international player, Kasparas Jakucionis.
He's good. Wow.
I like him a lot.
He's
man.
good.
The comps are Goran Dragic, who obviously was an all-star with the Heat, but the Heat got him at 20. Seems like he dropped, but I like him at Illinois. Like, great passer, can shoot better than his percentage showed. He can hit some threes. Can get to the rim, and he's a pass-first guy. Right, yeah. Right. And he'll fit. He's 6'5", so he's got size. He'll fit nicely next to Hero. And I think this is a really good pick. I think this guy's going to might be a star. Like,
wow.
I think he's really good. Yeah.
I'm ready.
From Lithuania. Yeah.
I'm ready.
So, of course, with the good, you also have the bad. You have this fool, Kevin O'Connor, that says, what's going on in Miami, and breaks down why the Heat had the worst draft night. First of all, how did we have the worst draft night when we got a lottery pick at pick 20? We had a guy that I think was, number 15, or he was high up on Kevin O'Connor's board. And it's only because he fell to the Miami Heat. How did we have the worst draft night when we actually solved one of our biggest problems, which is a playmaking point guard? Last season, we solved one of the biggest problems, which is a shot-blocking center that can rebound and help Bam Adebayo. These people will come on national television and lie and cap and talk absolute foolishness, all to discredit the Miami Heat.
Who had the worst night? Which franchise had the worst night?
My grades on the Yahoo draft guide, I gave it to the Heat. Kasparas Jakucionis, I gave a D+2. So with the Heat, as we talked about earlier, some of the questions about what's going on there, what's the direction of the franchise, what are the priorities, that plays into Jakucionis with that draft grade. Ultimately, could be a good player, could be. But I just think with the Miami Heat situation, that's where I have my biggest concern.
Per Zach Lowe, all bets are off with the Kings. Does anyone want DeMar DeRozan? You know the Heat have been mentioned. I think the Heat would be smart to prioritize like a Jonathan Kuminga, like a younger guy ahead of DeRozan. And I think the Heat Kuminga smoke is real. And I hope so as well. I know a lot of people are unsure about Kuminga. He said he wants to prove himself. The minute he said that, you're going to get a prove it deal. You're not going to get a max deal. I'm sorry. The reason why you add Kuminga is because it's talent. You can have a starting lineup of Kasparas Jakucionis, Tyler Hero, Kuminga, Bam, and Ware. And I'm not saying that Jakucionis is going to start already. But once again, we need to be moving into the future with this young core and really seeing what they can do. And in the meantime, you continue to build these guys up. You can see what Kuminga can do. And if you don't like it, you trade him later. But I am always going to lean in the younger direction. I like DeMar DeRozan. I think he's a great piece. He's always going to give you buckets during the regular season. But right now, it's all about the young core. And I think the Miami Heat are showing us that. They're not coming out and saying, yeah, we're going to tank in this, that, and the third. But they're prioritizing youth right before our eyes.
Sacramento, by the way, all bets are off with the Kings. Like, all bets are off.
Always.
Levine, DeRozan. Does anyone want DeRozan? The Heat have been mentioned. I think the Heat would be smart to prioritize like a Kuminga ahead of a younger guy ahead of a DeRozan. And I think the Heat Kuminga smoke is real. Sabonis just has to be looking around like, what? What? We had Fox and Halliburton, and this is what's left? Like, all bets are off with the Kings. They are the mystery team of the offseason. Nothing would surprise me with.
Per Shams, what we're going to see is a lot of free agents are either going to re-sign with their teams, work on signing trades, because there's only one team with significant cap space, and that's the Brooklyn Nets. I understand a lot of people are saying that the Miami Heat are running it back. How are we running it back and we don't have Jimmy Butler? The goal is you got to trade Wiggins, Duncan, and Terry, and possibly Jaime, and get some assets in return. First-round picks, something. Second-round picks, we have to be prepared for the future, and it's about moving this team forward. Everything comes down to asset management. Pat Riley cannot sit on his hands. We have to improve the roster, stay flexible, and stay young. Hit the subscribe button, and thank you for all the support.